So I had decided that it is time to repot my Alocasia black velvet. I currently have it in this water jug that I chopped and kind of melted a hole into, but I don't really like this setup because it's too wide in my opinion. I think that the large surface area is making the water evaporate too quickly, and I don't really think that's good for my alocasia. The perlite here on top, it's really dry and there is a little bit of water at the bottom. So what I'm thinking is that I would rather have this in a more narrow space. So I got this container at the Dollar Tree and I already melted a hole into it. And I think that the mouth being not as wide, is it wide? It's a little bit of the same size, but I just think that it would be better here because it's longer. I don't think that the roots need to expand outward. As long as they're growing downward, it will be okay. I'm thinking that if I put a layer of rocks on top, like river rocks, that it would keep the water from evaporating way too fast, and it will keep the moisture more evenly distributed throughout the container instead of just all sitting down here at the bottom, which is what is happening right now. There's layer of water and then some humidity, and then there's like nothing in the rest of the container. So I think that is what I will do. I also have a corn that I started growing. It's a black velvet corn that I found in here the last time I repotted this. So I'm just gonna throw this back in here so it's more alocasias in one container since it's already rooted. I think that the most annoying part about growing plants in LECA or semi-hydro is finding containers that are appropriate for the plant. I'm still trying to figure that out with the Alocasia black velvet. The reason why I keep this one in semi-hydro is because it just does so much better than in soil. When I had it in soil, it only had one leaf and it just wasn't cutting it for me. So I decided to try to put it in semi-hydro, and that made it what it is today. So this is one of the plants that I will keep in semi-hydro and just deal with all the struggles that come with finding containers. So I'm going to make the first layer be mostly LECA because from my experience, LECA balls dry out quicker than perlite does. So if I'm going to create a water reservoir at the bottom, I don't want it to be staying soaking wet, if that makes sense. So the LECA will push the moisture upward more easily than the perlite will. I don't know what it is about LECA, but I just hate the way it feels in my hands. It's just eek. Doesn't smell as bad. The last time that I repotted this plant, it smelled really bad, and I think the reason why is because I had it in a glass container and it wasn't getting flushed as often as it should have been, and there were bits of root rots within the LECA and perlite, and I think it was just creating a very bacteria-filled water slush grossness. But oh my gosh. So there are more corms. Okay, I guess I will grow some more. Oh, a baby corm. I don't know if you can see it. So The roots look mostly okay. I am going to try and get rid of any of the mushy root rot that's here.
A few moments later.
So most of the roots actually look okay. There was some root rot. I don't really understand why some roots do so well and others just rot. But I'm not going to disturb it too much because this is how I almost killed my micans. I went too hard on its roots. So I'm not going to do that with my Alocasia, even though the Alocasia is pretty hardy, especially with how I treat my plants. I got some fresh water from the sink and I'm just going to let the roots sit in there for a minute. There's nothing in the water, it's just water. So I'm just gonna let it sit here for a minute just because I don't want it to be, the roots to get too dry, and maybe this will help as a little bit of a wash for it. And now that I have this layer of LECA, I'm just gonna throw this back in there. Oh my gosh, look! Another corm! So far, I found 2 of them. I don't know if you can see, but this is actually 2 plants. It's not 1 plant with however many leaves. It's 2 of them, so that's why I left it here. Should have gotten a towel because I hate the feeling of wet hands. I can't forget the little guy over here. It's been growing. Okay. I don't know if you can see the tiny black velvet, and it's starting to grow, so I'm gonna put it, where should I put you? Put you right here. This is kind of hard when your hands are shaking from having way too much caffeine and not having eaten lunch today. So after this, I'm gonna go get lunch. Now I'm going to add rocks that I gathered from a river, and before I get any comments on it, it was in Forest Service land, so I am allowed to pick up rocks for personal use. And there are these like the smooth rocks that you find, and okay, so this is my idea. I want to create a layer on top of the LECA and the perlite that is not organic material, so I didn't want to use sphagnum moss. I wanted to keep it fully inorganic, but I wanted a layer that would slow down how fast the water is evaporating from the container, and all the rocks are porous. I don't think this is nearly as porous as perlite is or LECA is. So this will allow water to still go through, because obviously there's going to be gaps within the rocks, but it won't let it go, it won't let it evaporate as fast as it's evaporating now. Is this going to work? I don't know, but it's fun to try new things, so we're going to try it. So this has been a little bit of a sensory nightmare. I personally do not like the way that LECA and perlite feels. And then they make the most horrid sound when you move them around, but it's okay. I do this because I love my plants. Now, could I have gone to the store and bought pebbled rocks? Yes, but to me, it's kind of silly to go to a store and purchase rocks when you can just go outside and get rocks. I was not about to pay like $10 for a bag of rocks. I just went to the river and got some rocks, and I guess I'm lucky to live in an area where I can do that. I even got some quartz, so it's getting a little fancy in here. Hi.
just rocks. What is it? Can I help you with something? What do you think about my plant?
Right, so I have my layer of rocks on top of all of this perlite and LECA, and now I'm just going to give it a little bit of water with nutrients in it so it can grow. I have already pre-mixed. I can't see. So I have already pre-mixed some nutrients into this gallon of water. Just give it a little, give it a shake. Oh my. Okay, that's good enough. It's basically just some of this in water, and I use 1 teaspoon. I don't like to make it too strong. So I'm gonna go ahead and water my plant. Basically, I have melted a hole down here, and that's about as high, just below that hole, drainage hole. That's about how much water I'm going to be leaving in here. There are some gaps where the roots are. Don't really like that. I decided to go ahead and cut this leaf since it's already dying. What do you think? Here is a closer look of all the rocks that I have put on top of this container. It's a very small layer. And then we have LECA perlite, and the water is going to sit down here. The roots end about right here, which is great, gives it more time to grow. And that's basically it for my Alocasia black velvet. I am gonna go ahead and prepare these corms and put them in a little jar so that they can start growing roots. I'll go ahead and show you how I do that. So here are the 2 corms that I was able to take out of my plants while I was repotting, and I'm going to prep them so that new plants can grow out of these. I don't know if I'm going to keep these yet. I might give them away to my friends. I really need to get a desk lamp because it's so dark right here. I'm tempted to get my headlamp and use it. So basically what I'm going to do, or what I'm doing, is all of this brown stuff. I'm going to remove all of this while being careful not to go too rough on the inside, that white stuff. I've actually tried both methods, just throwing this in a prop box without removing the brown stuff and removing the brown stuff, and I found that removing it makes it root faster. So that's what I'm gonna do, and there is less rot.
It's just the cutest thing ever. Y'all know me, I love blooms. Okay, over here on my forest setup, everybody is doing pretty well. I recently gave my philodendron Rio a makeover on my Patreon and gave it this cute little trellis and everything. It's in a terracotta pot now. I was air layering this for a long time on that other plant right there, and the air layering didn't take. And I think it was because the nodes were so old, like they were not so old, but they just like weren't fresh nodes that I was trying to air layer. So I got like a tiny bit of roots, but nothing really happened, honestly, and I still decided to chop it. I'll link the video down below if you're interested in watching it.
So there are different ways to do this. I choose perlite, but once you have found your preferred method of doing this, I don't know why it's going crazy with the focusing. I'm gonna do it this way because it's having a hard time focusing. So you wanna make sure that this is facing upward and this is facing down. That's where your new plant is gonna grow from, and it's gonna start rooting from everything else. So there we go. We have both of them in here. If you can see, it focuses. Both the pointy part of the corm is going upward and the rest is facing down, and then it's going to start to root. Should I add more water? No, I think that's enough moisture. Well, as you can see, it is now almost nighttime, and that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe because it encourages me to post more. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.